I'm so happy to have everyone here. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Saturday. And thank you guys so much for signing up for this mudra class. I love mudras, and I would just love to hear what your experience. Do you guys know what mudras are? Have you practiced them before, or is it something that's brand new to your yoga practice? And you can also just say in the chat, relatively new. Yeah, and then there's a private message, never done. Okay, use them sometimes. Yeah, so, when we think of yoga, oh, cool, found a great one for headaches. Good, let's talk about that later after the class. Most of us, when we think of yoga, we think of the yoga postures or what we call asana. And in the Western culture, this is really the postures are really like the introduction into the yoga practice. And mudras are working on a whole different level. They are gestures that are made with the hands, the body, or even the face to invoke different qualities that are inherent within us that are just waiting to be awakened. So they can be used to promote physical health. They can be used to promote mental and emotional well-being and balance. And they can also be used as a way of spiritual awakening. I've really come to fall in love with the practice of mudras. And so I'm really excited that you guys are here today joining me for this mudra masterclass. I use these mudras, not just the ones that we're doing today, but I use mudras in general in my normal yoga classes that include a great amount of the asanas, the postures, and as well as the breath work. I almost always offer mudras in my classes, but I don't know that I've ever taught class just on mudras. So it's exciting for me too. So the mudras, the word mudra, in Sanskrit, it means seal. It's a gesture. It can mean gesture and it can also mean seal. And the idea of the word as seal is that we're shifting energy, we're moving our internal energy, and then we're sealing it in different locations. So when energy is maybe really, really low, we might want to do a mudra that will lift energy higher, make us feel a little more energized, full, whole, full of more vitality. And so we're doing mudras to shift, uplift energy and to just seal it into that place. We can use mudras for all different types, not just to uplift energy, but to lower energy, to expand energy. So we'll talk more about this as we go through the practice. So that word mudra, okay, it means seal. And then if we slice it down the middle, as we often do with Sanskrit words, we look at the etymology of the word. The part of the word ra, it means to bring forth, and mud, it means delight or enchantment. And so the word mudra can also be a way to say we're bringing forth delight and enchantment within us. And this idea that we're awakening delight and enchantment, these are inherent qualities that are always within us, but they sometimes get covered up. And so that's sort of using the mudras as more of a spiritual awakening. These mudras, they've become such an elemental part of my practice. I use them in my teaching, but I use them myself every day. I use them with my clients as well. And for those of you guys who are coming in new to me, I teach therapeutic yoga. I teach clients in group settings and also on a one-on-one basis that come to me with either chronic pain or emotional imbalance. And we're looking to create more balance in their lives, just getting them feel better in every single way. And so mudras, I use them almost like a prescription. I'll give them to my clients. They shift energy. And when we say they shift energy within us, we're talking about prana. And we're going to really dive into the idea of prana in a little bit as we work through the mudra practice. But I still want to just give you a little overview for some of you who are brand new to mudras. These mudras also, I want to just mention right now, I've just created a brand new course for anxiety, which is heavily rooted in shifting prana, moving our internal energy. We use a lot of mudras. And so that's why I wanted to really do this master class, because it'll give a really good foundation for that anxiety course. And I'll tell you guys more about that at the end of this practice today. So the origin of mudras, they've been strongly used in the Indian spiritual tradition. They were originally used by the great Indian rishis, which are the spiritual masters and spiritual sages. However, we see mudras in various other religions as well. We see mudras in Buddhism, in Christianity, and we see them in Judaism. And if you just, next time you notice maybe a sculpture of Buddha, look at Buddha's hands. He's often holding mudras. There are several that Buddha holds his hands in. And if you see sculptures or paintings of Christ, he often has his hands in different gestures as well, because these can also be known as mudras. In Judaism, there are several mudras. I'm not familiar with a lot of them. I'm half Jewish, but I will say that one of the mudras that I really love in Judaism is on the Friday night Shabbat, we'll light candles, and there's a practice of just waving the candlelight towards your face and then holding your hands in front of your eyes. So this is a mudra. And the symbolism of this mudra is to take in the light, the light and the warmth of the candle, and take that internally, which I think is really beautiful. Gestures, mudras, hand, body, face, they're part of our everyday language. So we sometimes think of them as just part of a yoga tool. And yes, they are, but we use them all the time. So if you think of furrowing your brows, crossed arms can be a sign of defensiveness. Head hanging forward is often seen as a sense of sadness or even shame. Clenched fists is frustration, tension, anger, right? We are tensing up our fists. Raised eyebrows, surprise or delight. Touching fingertips together is more of a pensive mood, or hand, finger to the lip, thoughtfulness, thinking. And then of course, there's the other universal mudra for anger or telling someone off that we all know. It's this one, right? And so when we use gestures consciously, when we use these mudras consciously to evoke an attitude, that's when they're called a mudra. So the rishis, these ancient rishis that would use mudras, I think this is such a fascinating story. They would go into long, deep states of meditation. And when they would reach a point in their own personal meditation that their mind was clear, their body felt healthy and stable and balanced, the emotions felt stable and balanced, then certain gestures would arise for them in their hands or body or face. They noticed when these mudras would come about that there was a correlation between a certain feeling or quality internally and the mudra that their hands would just naturally arise into. And so they would remember these mudras and then teach them to their disciples. And that's really how we have the practice of mudra today, which I think is really cool. So how do these mudras work? So the most common mudras that we see in yoga tools are mudras of the hands, most of us know Anjali Mudra, where we're placing the two palms together. And also, if we're talking, just going back to using them in different religions, here we are. Many religions place the hands in this prayer posture. So they work because the fingers contain a ton of sensory and nerve endings, and that make them a powerful vehicle for communicating a sensation, a quality of energy to the brain, but also to the rest of the body. Our hands and our fingers are also very dexterous, which allows for a great deal of different possibilities for awakening these inherent qualities within us. And then the last thing to know about mudras is that the hand gestures especially are incredibly healthy for hands, for arthritis. They're really good for keeping that dexterousness of the hands and keeping the joints in the hands lubricated, because we do have so many bones in here. So then going back to those nerve endings, if you've ever experienced Reiki, Qigong, acupuncture, acupressure, these are all different modalities that work with energy as well. And a lot of times, like if you go to acupuncture, they'll place the needles in your hands. And again, that's because we have all these different nerve endings that then correspond to different parts of the body. And so we don't need to necessarily, in yoga, we're not going to prick our hands and put needles in them, but we can just place a little bit of pressure and just stimulate those nerve endings. So exploring the qualities of our subtle being. So all of these different nerve endings in the practice of yoga, we have what are called the 5 koshas. And we're going to really dive into the koshas through our mudra practice. We're going to be learning about these different koshas, which are really known as a map for human discovery or human awakening, because they refer to all these different layers of the body. So the koshas imply that we are not just what we see when we look at another person, our physical body, right? And we know oftentimes, like when we go to a doctor, they just look at the physical body. And in therapeutic yoga, we look at the holistic part of the self, the holistic body. So every single kosha, the first one is the physical body. The second one is the pranic body, or the energy body, which is that level that we work with when we're working with mudras. We're moving energy. The third kosha is the mind and our emotions. And then we have the fourth layer, which is our sense of wisdom and clarity. And then the last kosha is our sense of awakening into our soul, our spirit, our essence. So we'll dive into all of those. But within that second layer, the Prana Mayakosha, that's where we find the nadis, these 72,000 energy channels. So when we're looking at energy, internal energy, we look at the nadis, our energy channels. We look at the chakras, our energy centers, and we look at the vayus, which are 5 different currents of energy, the way that energy moves within us. These 3 layers, I mentioned also my anxiety course, which I'll tell you more about later, but these 3 different parts of energy, the chakras, the vayus, and the nadis, we really dive into in my anxiety course. So the nadis, all these different nerve endings, the nadis also end in the hands. And so that's why we're using the hands for mudra. So we'll go ahead and we'll just get started in our mudra practice now that you have a little bit of an overview of a foundation of what these gestures are. So I would like to invite you guys to come into a comfortable position. If you're sitting, that's perfect. If you're lying down, that's okay. It might just make it a little more challenging, but you can still do this lying down. And if it's comfortable for you, you can close the eyes. So the first mudra we'll do today is called Pritzvi Mudra. And you'll take the palms open, bending the ring finger in, and take the thumb tip to the ring finger tip. So it looks like this, thumb and ring finger together. And then like this, the hands rest palms up on the thighs. So palms facing up on the knees or the thighs, however it's comfortable for you. I have to just shift my yoga mat for a minute. My feet were on the hard floor and that was not so comfortable. So hands in Pritzvi Mudra. And if it feels comfortable and right for you, then you can go ahead and close your eyes. Pritzvi means earth. And with this gesture, we are working on the outer kosha, the outermost layer. One of the ways I like to describe the koshas, or the different layers of the human self, are like the Russian nesting dolls. You see one beautiful painted doll, open that up and there's another inside. And then you open that one and there's another, and another, and another. I've also heard the koshas described as layers of an onion, peeling back all the layers. And so this one, we're working on the Pranamayakosha, awakening the physical body. Each of the 5 layers corresponds to a different element: earth, water, fire, air, or space. Pritzvi means earth. And so within this gesture, we're awakening the earth qualities within us. We're shifting prana by way of the vayus, the currents of energy. With this mudra, we are experiencing a pana vayu, which is a downward flow. And so take a couple of breaths, just attuning to any sensations, any feelings evoked by this gesture. Sometimes we can feel the different sensations right away. And sometimes when we're practicing mudras, because this really is subtle, we're working on the subtle anatomy of the self, it can take a while. And we might not even feel anything at all, and just know that that's okay. Things are still working. Things are still shifting and moving. Pritzvi Mudra cultivates a sense of embodiment and allows for us to become aware of the first signs of imbalance as we become very in tune with the physical body. Working on the Pranamayakosha. Ana means food or matter. And this kosha refers to the physical body, the dimension of us that is nourished by food. This includes our anatomy and our physiology. And it is a key to our health and healing. With this gesture, you may sense an elongated exhale. The breath, which feeds prana, fuels our internal energy, directed downward towards the base of the spine to the first chakra or energy center, Muladhara chakra. Sitting in the mudra for longer periods will facilitate a state of deep calm, becoming more present with our physical self. We are able to deepen our exploration to the more subtle dimensions of self with more ease. And so exploring this mudra, the physical body, and just really heightening our awareness to sensations in the physical body allows us to then explore the more subtle parts. We'll shift now to the Prana Mayakosha. We'll place the hands together at the heart, palms together, fingers are pointing forward. And we're just going to rub the hands together. So we're just preparing the hands. So this is the Prana Mayakosha we'll be working on. This mudra we'll come into in a second is called Vitam Mudra, or the gesture of awakening our energy body, our sense of vitality. And because energy is something that can't be normally seen or felt, I like to always start with rubbing the hands together, creating a little bit of friction, heat, and warmth. And then you may just be able to feel a sense of prana. Allow the hands to just float apart, a cupping shape, like you're holding a globe of energy. And then you can rest the hands just a little bit lower in front of the abdomen. So this is Vitam Mudra. The hands, the palms are slightly rounded. And again, if it's comfortable, close your eyes. Noticing any sensations, any feelings awakened by this gesture. And become aware of your breath, your physical body breathing. Breathing in at the tip of the nose. Notice every inhalation, every exhalation. And notice also as you breathe the movement of the body. Notice the parts of the body that move as you breathe in and as you breathe out. You may even sense the hands slightly expanding and contracting towards and away from one another with each breath. Prana is life force. It is the energy that sustains all creation, including our physical bodies. Without the breath, and it's important to say that breath creates prana, but they're also different. Breath is different. But without breath, without prana, we wouldn't survive. We would not be alive. There's prana all around us. Think of the energy that turns the earth. The energy of day shifting to night, night shifting to day. Energy is why waves crash upon the earth, why branches of trees sway. Energy is why all of plant life grows. And so there's prana in all living beings, in all of nature. With this mudra, we are awakening that free flow of vital energy within us. Awakening the second kosha, the Prana Mayakosha. This layer encompasses those three facets of our subtle energy I mentioned before, the chakras, the energy centers, the vayus, which are the currents of energy, and the nadis, which are energy channels. That's how energy moves. Through mudras, we're really awakening those nadis. This gesture directs breath and awareness into the pelvis and abdominal areas, improving circulation for the reproductive and urinary systems. With enhanced abdominal breathing, the low back becomes gently massaged by the breath, releasing tension. Abdominal breath supports the return of venous blood, lymphatic fluid from our lower extremities back to the heart. And this gesture of the Prana Mayakosha, this Vitam Mudra, is generally helpful for someone who experiences lower energy or even depression or lethargy. Because we're moving prana, shifting prana, awakening the free flow of internal energy. This mudra corresponds to the elements of water, of fluidity, flexibility, and nourishment. There is a sense of nourishing our whole self. This gesture balances and opens our second chakra. And when that chakra is awakening, the Svadhisthana chakra, it instills a sense of fluidity and adaptability, allowing us to be flexible around our bodies, our minds, supporting our emotional balance. And we'll now shift our awareness to the Pranamayakosha. We'll bring the hands to the heart, turning the four fingers inwards so all of the knuckles touch, and then the thumbs come down so the hands become a heart and they're held in front of the heart. This is called Purna Hridaya Mudra. And this is the gesture that awakens and supports the third kosha, the Pranamayakosha, the mind and our emotions. And so if it's comfortable, again, you can close your eyes. The gesture of the open heart. Manas of Manomaya means mind. This is the layer of our mind. It encompasses all of our thoughts, our feelings. This is the dimension which seeks happiness and joy, which is our birthright to feel. But it is also that layer, that field that causes suffering. Our mind creating stories full of thoughts and fears and stress and judgment that we begin to attach to. This mudra is helpful for becoming more comfortable with this dimension, with this layer of the mind. Take several breaths, attuning to the feelings, any at all, awakened by this gesture, any sensations. This gesture awakens the element of air, which is the element of the fourth chakra, the heart. And so there's an expanding of the heart space, that center of self-love, of compassion. This gesture and all awakening of the third kosha, balancing of this kosha, allows us to notice our thoughts, to be flexible with them, and to hold a sense of compassion toward ourselves for whatever we're feeling, no matter what we're feeling. Breath and awareness are directed to the upper sternum, to the chest, to the side ribs, optimizing respiration. So where the first mudra that we took directed breath energy down towards the base of the spine, now we're lifting it up. This is the vayu of prana. It's called prana vayu, where energy starts to rise, an upward movement of energy. Opens and balances this fourth chakra, the anahata chakra, center of unconditional love. The element of air, awakened by rhythmic breathing. Through this gesture, we are able to sometimes calm the mind. Notice if you can sense any more space between your thoughts. And with this gesture, awakening a sense of love around the mind space, we can learn to welcome our thoughts and our emotions so that they lose their heavy, dense feelings, allowing us to just simply witness all emotions as pure energy. We'll bring the hands together now, palms together, resting at the heart. And you'll take your index finger and bend at the first knuckle so the index finger touches the thumb tip. So between my index finger and my middle finger, there's a little triangle, okay? And then this gesture is called Chitta Mudra, and then we take the hands back. So the three middle ring and pinky fingers are extended upwards. Index finger bends down and is touching the thumb tips. This is called Chitta Mudra. And again, you can close your eyes if it feels right for you. This little triangle created in this gesture, triangles are very symbolic in the practice of yoga. And in this mudra, the symbolism of this triangle is to take that sense of prana vayu, that lifting of energy upwards, and just taking it up even higher. So now we're bringing energy up towards the center of the forehead. So we're working here on the Vitam Mayakosha. Vijnana means higher wisdom. And this layer allows us to witness, to honor, and to gradually let go of any beliefs of ourselves that are limiting. We're tapping into our highest sense of knowing. Energy is lifted, directed upwards by the current of Udana Vayu, uppermost current of energy. Energy, prana lifted to the third eye. Agya chakra. This is our center of knowing beyond understanding. It is our sense of innermost clarity. At the level of the mind in the Pranamayakosha, we learn to welcome our thoughts and feelings without judging and without resisting. And at the level of this kosha, Vijnana Mayakosha, we learn to recognize that our challenging thoughts and feelings are reflections in the form of our limiting beliefs, conditioning by these limiting beliefs. By awakening this fourth layer, Vijnana Maya, we're able to observe our thoughts and beliefs without identifying with the stories, without identifying with the emotions. Chitta, this mudra is Chitta Mudra. Chitta means consciousness. And this gesture supports the awakening of our own consciousness, our own awareness. This gesture, I also like to call this gesture or this kosha, the bridge from the physical to the most subtle, from the physical part of the body and self, the more tangible, the body and the mind, to the most subtle, which is the soul. Chitta Mudra with this upwards facing triangle directs consciousness, facilitates a one-pointed concentration, so the ability to concentrate, to focus. The element that is activated here is the element of space. It is that which allows us to connect with something higher, greater, and deeper than ourselves. Noticing any gesture, any sensations, any feelings created by this gesture. Notice now with this mudra, Chitta Mudra, where you feel your breath. Has it shifted? Has it moved? This gesture has a slightly more energizing effect than the previous gestures we've held. The Vitam Mayakosha is all about witnessing that which holds us back from connecting to our true self. And we'll release the hands now and move them into our final mudra, which is called Hansi Mudra. The first, middle, and ring finger will come to the thumb tip with the pinky finger extended. And just like this, the hands, the backs of the hands can rest on the thighs. Hansi Mudra. This means that it translates to the gesture of the inner smile. This is for awakening, for really getting in touch with our Ananda Mayakosha, our fifth layer of the human map of self-awakening. Ananda Maya, Ananda means bliss. This is our layer or our body of bliss that encompasses all of the positive qualities of our being. This bliss unfolding as we detach from the mind, as we detach from the body. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this practice that I work with people with chronic pain and emotional imbalances. Those are usually the parts of ourself that we attach to, is when something is wrong. And by holding this gesture, by meditating in this gesture, there becomes an unfolding of the relationship of our true essence of self, really coming into a deeper, greater connection with our soul, the part of us that is always happy, always balanced, always joyful, that part that we don't always feel. This mudra refers to smiling, and it also directs breath upwards. Again, Udana Vayu, the uppermost current of energy. And it is said when we hold this mudra, breath begins in the chest and then starts to move outwards towards the shoulders in this just open, like a smile of the chest. When we hold this mudra, there's an opportunity for the chest to open, very different from a common everyday mudra of rounding, shoulders moving forward. So there becomes more of an alignment of the body, alignment of the breath. This gesture releases endorphins and instills a sense of optimism. Physically, it can be helpful for releasing tension around the jaw, any TMJ. And it enhances a positive mood, which supports the health of our immune system. When our mind is more calm and our mood is in a healthy state, our immune system is naturally stronger. Notice any gestures, any sensations awakened by this gesture. Hansi Mudra, it also corresponds to the element of space, just like the last gesture. And you may have noticed that we've skipped the element of fire. So when we're working with these mudras, these specific 5 mudras for the koshas, we're not necessarily working with the elements of fire, but the elements of fire is where it's said to be the elements that corresponds to the mind, to our thoughts and emotions. And you can slowly release this gesture, just allowing the palms to release, to gently open. And we'll now do a facial mudra with the eyes closed or just gently lowered. Turn your inner gaze upwards towards the center of the forehead, to the third eye. This is a mudra called Shambhavi Mudra, and it is a mudra of the face. Eyes turning inward and upward to that space of wisdom and clarity, supporting a sense of spiritual awakening. Noticing the breath, noticing any sensations in the body, the quality of the breath, and the quality of the mind. You can slowly go ahead and open your eyes, just taking in the light very slowly. And just noticing how you feel right now. I really love working with the mudras. As I said earlier, sometimes we feel a lot and sometimes we really feel nothing. And that's okay too, because we just trust that something is working. This layer of energy, this part of the self it's really very potent. I had mentioned my anxiety course that I've just opened enrollment for, and I want to share a little bit about that course with you guys. But one of the things that I just find is so important is that in the teaching, in therapeutic yoga, which is what I teach, I of course use all modalities of yoga. We use the postures. So there's lots of postures, there's lots of breathing, there's mudras, and there's some meditation. And what I found so key in working with people that have emotional imbalances is that if we're just using the postures, nothing changes. We can go to a yoga class and it's great and we feel really good after an hour of yoga, but then those feelings of anxiety or depression or whatever the negative unwanted emotions are that we are experiencing, and we all experience, right? Because we're human, we're just human. Those come back. And so with the program that I'm teaching, that foundation is heavily laid in the Prana Mayakosha and really shifting energy, because that's really what anxiety is. So we're using these different forms and different tools of breath work, the vayus. We're looking at energy, at anxiety as energy, and we're moving it to different places of the body. So that as we move through the course, what's really interesting is that we get to sense, even on a deeper level, where we hold our emotions. This course, it's not about diagnosing, it's not about treating, but it's about, again, taking that energy, that displaced, misused energy, and shifting it so that the energy inside of us becomes healthier, more balanced, and stable. Now, as I mentioned, we're shifting energy. Does anybody know where we're shifting the energy to? And you can unmute yourself or you can type in the chat. And if nobody knows, that's okay. I'm going to tell you.
I'm guessing the spine, but that's only a guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else want to take a guess? Okay, I'll tell you guys. So very, very great answer along the spine. The chakras or the energy centers, they run along the spine from the base of the spine, which is the Muladhara chakra, up to the crown of the head to the this one is the Sahasrara chakra. And so oftentimes, for example, if we're in an individual that is experiencing depression, energy is stuck in the first chakra. It's displaced. It's really rooted down in that base chakra. And that's why there's feelings of dullness, of sadness, of just not being able to find motivation. And so while this course that I'm teaching this now that I've just opened enrollment for is for anxiety, we do also address depression as well because they're so closely related. So this course, it's a 6-week self-paced course. And I've created it in a way that you can just take your time. You can do these practices when it's convenient for you. In the past, I've taught these courses when they're live and everybody's supposed to meet at a certain day and a certain time, and it just didn't work. And it was creating stress and anxiety for people because they felt like they had so much to catch up on before they could attend the next session. So what I'm doing is differently. It's a self-paced course. You do it when it's convenient for you, but we will have a ton of live support. So we'll have 3 live group mentoring sessions where we check in with each other to see how these practices are feeling in your body, to see what's going on with your anxiety. In this course, I also give you assessment forms. Oh, you've lost sound. Can anybody hear me? Okay, yeah, so someone's having trouble. Sorry about that, Catherine. There's this arc that we take in this course where we want to learn when we're living with anxiety, which I am a person with anxiety and I can speak to the benefits of these practices. They've helped me so immensely in my life. And just when I notice that energy, that anxiety or nervous energy coming on, I have specific practices that I can go to tame it and to lower it. We take this arc where we build first focused in the mind. We want to get the mind concentrated and focused. And then week by week, we're slowly teaching not only the body, but the mind to become more soft, more calm, and more relaxed. One of the really great things about this course is that if you're a yoga teacher, then you can, and if you're registered with the Yoga Alliance, then you can receive up to 30 contact hours for this course. If you're a yoga teacher, and we'll be using this course as a way to get those Yoga Alliance continuing education credits, there is more work to do. The course for someone who wants to learn to manage their own anxiety better and to live your life with more balance and more harmony and more ease, what we'll have is 6 different modules. So you can do this every week if you want. That's what's recommended, and then to practice in between. So in each module, there will be education. There will be a yoga practice with mainly centered on asana, and also mudras and meditation. And then we'll also have a separate pranayama practice, breathwork practice that corresponds to the education or the topic of that week's theme. So you have 6 different modules. In addition to that, you also have about, I think there's 8 or 9, what I'm calling prescriptive practices, different techniques and tools that are just mini. Those are to be used the times like when you feel your energy is dismantling, when you feel anxiety coming on and you don't have time to turn on an hour-long class, or you know that sometimes just committing to an hour class even stimulates more anxiety and more energy. These are just quick, short mini practices that become tools in your toolbox that you can go to again and again that will really help you feel the shift. What we're doing with these prescriptive practices and the whole course in general is we're teaching the nervous system how to become balanced. So when we are a person with anxiety and we think about the nervous system, it can be almost like if you think about like in a car, the accelerator of a car, we're constantly pushing on the accelerator. Our nervous system is elevating higher and higher and higher. But then we might take a yoga class or go for a walk or do a little meditation, go for a swim or whatever it is that's relaxing for you. And we put on the brakes and our nervous system drops back down. So what we want to do in this course is not have the nervous system spiking and dropping, but to maintain balance. So this is what's called homeostasis, and we'll be doing that throughout this whole course. I want to save some time to answer any questions if anybody has questions about this. And I'm also going to just drop the link for you in the chat so that you can take a look as well. And also going to, just for a moment, share my screen for this link that I put in. So this is my registration, my enrollment page. And so this is really right here, becoming resilient. This is an empowering practice. It is all science-based. So all the tools that I have put in this course have gone through scientific studies, and they've been proven to help manage anxiety. I want to just scroll down. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can see that there's just tons of information in here. And I've also have this broken up so you can sign up. The payment, you can do 3 monthly payments or a single payment. The price of this course, yes, I have a question coming in, the price of this course. So for the course, it is $897, although for today only, and for you guys who have joined this master class, I'm offering a $200 bonus. And that bonus, that $200 off, is good just through midnight tonight. You can do a one-time payment or 3 monthly installments. And let's see, I have some more questions coming in. Yeah. Okay, so yes, the course, it's self-paced, and all the course material will be released on May 1st. If you sign up and register today with that $200 off bonus, you're also receiving 6 months. This is something I'm really excited about. I am starting a new on-demand monthly yoga membership site. So you get 6 free months of that membership site. You'll get a chakra meditation, you'll get a yoga nidra, and you'll get a sound healing meditation as well. So this course is just packed with a whole lot of goodness. And I hope that you guys will take some time to take a look at that course. You're also feel free to email me, reach out if you have any questions. These are practices that I've been working with my clients for a long time to help turn that nervous energy into more calm and balanced energy, and they work. I can attest to it myself. And before we say goodbye today, I want to lead you guys through one more mudra. And this is one of my favorites. I had mentioned at the beginning of our practice, mudras can be of the body, of the hands, and of the face. And so this last mudra we'll do is a body mudra. It's a full body mudra. I'm just going to turn my screen down a little bit. So if you can have some wall space or even a chair, that would be great. We're going to be elevating our legs onto something. So you'll lie down on the floor. And you'll lift your legs up so that the feet are either resting on your wall or a chair. The legs can also be bent too, but it's great to try to have the feet higher than the knees. And so you can take a moment to come into that last gesture, setting yourself up. And this mudra is called Viparita Karani. Viparita Karani, and this is often used as a yoga pose, and it is a yoga pose, but the difference is that postures, yoga postures, if we look into the teachings and the definition of yoga asana, which are the postures, it's to purify and tone the body, to be steady, so the body feels steady and comfortable and has the ability to sit in a meditation. And that's why originally yoga postures were done. And this Viparita Karani, though, as a mudra, it's used as a way to shift and uplift internal energy in the whole body. It has a very slightly energizing effect, yet it's a very relaxing posture. And it has so many health benefits. Boosting energy. This is good for soothing headaches. Increasing venous drainage. Balancing the nervous system. And this gesture also helps to release tension from the feet, the legs, and the back. As you are resting in this mudra, noticing any sensations in the physical body, any sensations in the mind. And as you're resting into this posture, I invite you to just consider what it would be like for you. What would the value in your life be to live a life with less stress, with less anxiety? How empowering would it be to learn to listen to your body, to learn how to harness your breath, to calm anxious responses? And what would it be like to know the best tools that allow you to relax into a sense of inner harmony and well-being? Slowly bring your awareness to the tips of your toes and just wiggle the toes. And now to the fingertips and just open and close the palms. Bringing your awareness now to your breath. Feel the steadiness, the pace, the quality of the breath. And slowly bend your knees, rolling over to one side. And using helping hands to sit back up. And we'll just finish with the left hand on the heart and the right hand on the belly. Just closing eyes for one more moment. Thank you. I want to just thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to practice these mudras with me and to learn more about my course. I've created this course because we need it with this pandemic, with the state of our world. There's stress. I mean, when I speak with my students, my clients, my friends, my family, everyone has stress, and we're just needing different tools to figure out how to dismantle that nervous energy and to just feel better and really to feel our most vital self. So if you think that this is something that could help you, I would encourage you to reach out to me, ask me any questions, or if you know someone who could benefit, also feel free to put us in touch or share the link. And I'll once again just drop the link in there so you guys have this link and you can copy and paste it into your browser. And yeah, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions about the class that we did today, the gestures or the course that's coming up? Okay. Well, I want to thank you all so much. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It is such a nice way to start the weekend. Let's see, I do have one question coming in. How often to practice mudras and how long to hold the mudra? That's a good one. You know, for me, I usually do a mudra. I usually work with one mudra once a week, and I like to come back to it again and again. And that way, the first time I do it, if I am just like, I feel nothing. And when I first started practicing mudras years ago, I was like, what are these things? They're weird. I don't feel it. I don't get it. But the more I practiced them, the more I started to feel that internal energy shifting. And that's, again, what we call prana, moving through the body, the life force energy. So I work with the same mudra usually for a whole week. And I don't know, maybe 3, 4, or 5 times. Sometimes I'll hold the mudras for longer, for like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And sometimes it's just a couple minutes. And you can just notice when you're holding them, and you'll have this recording to keep. So I'll be sending out the video again of this masterclass so you can keep practicing these. And just notice if you feel anything start to move. Notice with certain mudras, like with Pritzvi Mudra, the first one we did, if you can feel that downward flow of energy starting to move down towards the base of the spine. With the other mudras, as we start to work more in that spiritual realm of the self, then the energy, the prana is lifting higher. So there's that. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, I understand the price. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Linda says it's hard to afford right now, and it is an expensive course, and I realize that. And when we go to This is really great. A course like this is great for someone who hasn't had great results with psychotherapy or psychiatry. And if you compare the cost per a psychotherapy treatment, it ends up being a lot less than seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It isn't a replacement for. It's great for someone who hasn't had good results with more Western medicine, but this is such a holistic view and a holistic treatment, really, that it can be it can be used very well in conjunction with. And, for me, I always think of like, I'll have no problem going out and spending, $100 on a massage or a chiropractor, or acupuncturist, or all those wellness techniques. And so the other thing I should tell you guys, this is really important with this course that I forgot to say, is that everything, you get to keep it forever. So it's not just a 6-week course. Wellness doesn't happen in 6 weeks, right? It happens by going back to these practices again and again. So you'll always have these recordings. You end up with about 15 hours of full content and different practices and meditations. So I hope that helps to justify the value more, and that it can be broken up into monthly payments also. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, my kids are still sleeping. They won't get up for another 2 hours, I'm sure. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'll just linger on here if anybody has any last minute questions, or if you just want to chat. Hi, Jill.
Thanks, Jackie.
You're welcome.
That was so nice.
Thanks, Jess. Thank you, Catherine and Linda. Great to meet you both. Have a good rest of your weekend, everyone. Really nice meeting you. Take care.